My name is Stefanie Stephenson. I am a mom, a wife, and a nurse of 11 years. I have med-surg, cardiac, ICU, and vascular access experience. Being a working mom is something I always wanted to do. I wanted my children to admire me for my work ethic and career choice. Up until my recent experience with COVID-19, I never thought I would be put in the position to choose between my family and career. I never could have imagined that by me going to work, I could potentially put my family at risk. As a nurse, I've always managed critical situations calmly and collectively. As many of you know, I respond to all the rapids and codes in the hospital on a regular basis. About 2 years ago, I started experiencing anxiety. I always saw anxiety as part of a patient's past medical history, and I never thought twice about it. Now that I have experienced it myself and have talked to many of my friends and colleagues, I have realized I'm not alone. Flu season in particular has been very difficult for me to manage my anxiety. As we all know, 2019 was a very busy flu season and affected me greatly. Just as the flu started to die down, we were all bombarded with the most unimaginable situation, COVID-19. At first, all of the information we received about the novel coronavirus pandemic was media-based. It was filled with fear, isolation, and terrifying statistics. Given my fragile state at this time, I was shaken by this. I started experiencing panic attacks. I could barely function and decided, along with the support of my department, that I needed to take some time to take care of myself. Guilt, failure, anger, and fear encompassed my thoughts. I felt like the frontline staff was being kept in the dark and that we were not being protected. I lost all sense of control. All of a sudden, we went from having an unlimited supply of PPE to protect ourselves, to them being told we would have to reuse masks. During my time off, I experienced many different feelings. At first, I was completely petrified. I honestly contemplated quitting my career and changing my life entirely. I have never felt more devastated because I love my career and what I do. I love being a nurse, I love helping people in need, and I never thought that wouldn't be a part of who I am. My anxiety was not letting me see clearly and focus on what I could do to control the situation. After stepping back and focusing on myself and my family, I started to think more clearly. I decreased the amount of social media I was allowing myself to listen to. I started filling my mind with facts, not fear. After 2 weeks at home, I was able to come back to the IV department and function at work. Just as I came back and started to adapt to the new environment, I received a phone call on a Tuesday night from the hospital. I was informed that the hospital was activating phase 1 of the emergency preparedness plan and that my IV responsibilities were being put on hold and that I was needed to help the staff in the ICU during the surge. I was part of their plan and no one told me. This felt wrong. I felt like I should have been part of the decision. My worst nightmare at the time had come to life. Filled with fear and apprehension, I immediately called my friends currently working in the ICU, looking for encouragement and support. They reported they felt safe. I thought to myself, how in the world can they feel safe taking care of vented COVID patients? Everyone I talked to believed in me and thought that I could do this. I was in awe of their courage and ability to be so selfless. I wanted to be part of it, and I knew I would regret giving up and giving into my fears. I was taken back at first and did not think I could successfully fulfill what the ICU needed of me. I talked with Terry Winslow, and she told me that she knew I could do this. She believed in me. All of my colleagues, family, and friends gave me the love and support that I needed to show up in the unit on my first shift taking care of critical COVID patients. I remembered the first patient I had. After donning the PPE of choice for the day, I entered the patient's room with apprehension. At first, I felt like I needed to hold my breath, even with my PPE on. It felt suffocating and unnerving. As I became more knowledgeable about donning and doffing PPE, I was able to gain some feelings of control back. Working in the ICU allowed me the control of having 2 critical patients. I put myself first and never entered a room unless I was prepared. I felt protected, I felt supported, and I felt able. The teamwork and support in the ICU is something that I will never forget. During the COVID surge, I worked in the ICU taking care of these patients without fear and anxiety. I adapted new routines and ways to make myself feel protected. I went home to my family every night and made sure to hug and kiss my children. For 5 weeks, I worked with my ICU family during the most difficult time of many of our careers. I remembered going home to my husband and saying, "Well, I killed another person today," because that's what it felt like to me. I turned off the pressors, I turned up the pain medication, and called respiratory to extubate the patient. We FaceTimed families. We held our patients' hands while they laid scared and alone during their last breaths. The priests weren't coming in to provide patients with their last rites. So I would hold the phone next to the patient and hold their hands during prayer. As I write these things, I cannot believe that this was part of our daily practice. All of a sudden, we made it through the surge, together as a team, as a family, and as a community. The support we received from our community was nothing short of amazing. As I worked my last shift in the ICU before returning to IV, I felt accomplished, proud, and changed forever. I can honestly say that working on the front lines during this pandemic was life-altering. It put so many things into perspective for me. I now know that I am capable of so much more than I thought I was. I worked through my worst fears with the love and support of my family, friends, and colleagues. I am grateful, humbled, and forever bonded with my coworkers who experienced all of this with me. Part of me still feels numb, but I want to encourage all of us to be honest with our feelings. I learned that it's okay to take a step back, to put ourselves first, and to not do things without the facts that we deserve to continue to provide our patients with the best care we can. I want to thank everyone that supported me and believed in me. I am forever grateful for all of you and honored to work alongside with you.